I want to talk about something completely different because it amuses the absolute hell out of me. I know you'll get a kick out of this, and it's in baseball, actually. You remember a couple months ago, we talked about our boy, Glenn Kuiper, and how he said a not so great word on the Oakland Athletics broadcast. And I actually used the real word that he was trying to use about the Negro Leagues. And you got a little nervous. I could tell that you were a little bit stressed out when I used it. But Glenn Kuiper got fired or suspended or whatever. And we both agreed at the time, not a great look. And while maybe a mistake, we did break it down a little bit. Well, the Baltimore Orioles apparently the Angelos family got up on the wrong side of the bed the other day. Have you heard about this story with their announcer?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, when I first heard it, I heard Kevin Brown got fired, and I thought it was that old pitcher from the late 90s and mid 2000s who had gotten fired. But it turns out the Orioles have a very well respected broadcaster, and they were in Tampa, and the Orioles have been bad for a while. And as part of the pregame, they talked about how unsuccessful the team had been in Tampa to the point that the production truck had made a graphic for this. So this is all part of the plan. And it turns out he got suspended and or fired because basically he highlighted how crappy the Orioles have been against the Tampa Bay Rays. I can't even begin to tell you how much that makes me laugh because it amazes me that somebody who has the kind of money that the Orioles owner has could be so thin-skinned as to be told by one of his people, yeah, the team really hasn't been that great, and to be so sensitive about it that you get rid of the guy. It's so amusing to me because it doesn't matter how much you have, how much money you have. You're all humans and you put your pants on the same way.
What's ridiculous about it is that the Orioles are very good this year. The data that he was giving is factual. It's based off real results. It's not made up. There's no emotion in it whatsoever. He didn't say anything inaccurate. I mean, he just threw out stats. He was just highlighting an interesting fact or series of facts about that particular series and especially in that particular stadium. And that's good commentary, in my opinion. This is some weak ass shit from the Orioles. Like, this is soft, man. Super soft. Charmin, soft.
It's just amazing because it's exactly the way you pointed out. Like, I thought when I first saw the headline, obviously he went rogue or he did something that would deserve this. And it would be like if all of a sudden the next episode I was gone because I gave a stat of the week. Like, and I've given some sort of quote unquote negative stats of the week. And I thought maybe he dropped an F bomb, maybe he used some type of a slur, like we hadn't gotten all the information. And so it's on Twitter, and I watch the video, and I'm done, and I say, what the did he do wrong? And I was just baffled by it. And you know what, man? I want to say this. This to me, and I think I even tweeted this out, even though we don't do a lot of tweeting anymore, but I said, this is what happens when traditionally cheap executives and cheap management looks at what their product has been in the face. I get it. If you're the owner of a team, you want your brand to be or seem as strong as possible. And if your own employees are disparaging the company or seemingly disparaging the company, I can understand being like, hey, we might not want to do that all that often. But when it comes down to the Angelos family saying we felt that it made us look cheap, you have the 29th payroll in Major League Baseball. You are cheap. And guess what? In sports, cheapness comes with a price, and it's a lot of losing. And the Orioles, over the last 20 years, have done a lot of losing. A lot. So much to the point that the Rays have not even been that great, and they have lost so often to them in Tampa. And you know what? The data they gave highlighted how much better they are now. They're in first place. They're 30 games over 500. They're young. They're exciting. That's what you should be focusing on. And guess what? The stat was, hey, guess what? We're not as bad against Tampa this year. Hooray us. That gets you fired, apparently.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And Tampa, they have been pretty successful over the last decade. Like, I mean, for their payroll and the market and their tiny, weird stadium, like, they've been very successful, all things considered. And they're almost like the Oakland A's of the East Coast in a way. But yeah, this is just absurd. I don't get it. Like you, I was waiting for the F bomb or something crazy, and it never happened. And I'm like, wait, are they just mad because he's talking about I mean, you could say, "Oh, he's talking about how shitty they've been against the Rays," which is just it's just true. Like, it's not. I don't. It was not opinion at all. Like, zero of it was opinion. Just pure statistical facts. And
L-
if you are that thin-skinned, like, I don't. How do you manage to run a successful business? It's just absolutely insane, man. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just weak shit.
Listen, Mr. Brown, if you want to come on the show and talk to us about your credentials, we'd love to have you here because you'd be a million times more professional than we are.